She's dead. Wait! Director Cole snapped, her voice sharp enough to echo across the entire floor. You've got 1 hour to pack. Marcus, make it quick. The whole room went quiet. Even the interns stopped typing mid-sentence. No one moved. 20 pairs of eyes slowly lifted from their screens, all pretending they weren't watching what was happening. Hi, my name is Marcus Ellison. And in that exact moment, standing there under all those silent stares, I just gave a small nod. Understood, I said calmly, pushing my coffee slightly aside so it wouldn't spill. Director Cole smirked like she had just won something important. She leaned casually against my desk, as if she owned even that space, while I quietly closed my laptop without rushing. You always were too soft to survive this world, she said, her voice sweet but loud enough for everyone to hear. Survive stayed in my mind a little longer than it should have. I slowly looked up at her. May I ask what grounds I'm being dismissed on? I asked in a calm voice. You'll get the email, she replied with a careless shrug. HR is busy right now. Just leave quietly. Okay, I said again, still calm. I opened my drawer and carefully took out my pen, my notebooks, and my black leather folio. I packed everything slowly, like it didn't matter. But there was one thing I didn't take. The key. The key to everything. As I stood up and walked toward the elevator, I could feel it. The silence behind me wasn't normal. It was heavy. People were whispering now, but no one was brave enough to speak directly. Not a single person stopped me. Not even Mason. The same guy I once helped when he couldn't pay rent. That was the moment I fully understood something. Director Cole had no idea who I really was. Tomorrow morning, the boardroom would smell like burned paper, and Cole would be sitting right where I wanted her, just before everything collapsed under her. I didn't go straight home. Instead, I parked 2 blocks away from a private office building, a place no one at my company even knew existed. Inside that office, for the past 14 months, I had been collecting everything quietly. Emails, contracts, financial records, and every single transaction Director Cole had ever signed using my name or influence. Because I was never just a mid-level project manager. I was the co-founder, the silent partner, the man who had put in the original seed money before my so-called friend, now CEO, slowly pushed me out using stock dilution, legal tricks, and fake performance reviews. Cole didn't erase me. She just buried me under layers of paperwork and arrogance. But she made one mistake. She forgot who built the original system. I opened the internal security footage from the company server. Just as I expected, Cole had already instructed HR to mark my exit as involuntary misconduct, a clean legal trick to block any severance or appeal. It was smart, but not smart enough. I opened my secured legal folder and pressed send on everything. All files went directly to a private encrypted inbox monitored by my lawyer and 2 board members who were already suspicious of Cole. The subject line was simple: Project Cole's collapse. Before I left the office that night, the final move was already in motion. A shareholders' meeting request had been officially submitted under Clause 317 of the original operating agreement. The same clause Cole herself had signed years ago without fully understanding it. That clause gave the original founder emergency control override rights. By noon tomorrow, her access card wouldn't even work. And she still didn't know. At exactly 9:07 a.m. the next morning, I walked through the glass doors of Ellison Rook Tech. I was calm. Too calm. I was wearing a charcoal 3-piece suit. Nobody recognized me at first, not even the receptionist. I just walked straight past like I belonged there more than anyone else. Then I saw her. Director Cole stepped out of the elevator with a latte in one hand and that same arrogant smile she always wore when she thought she was untouchable. She spotted me and stopped for half a second. "Marcus?" she said, like she couldn't believe I still existed in her world after deleting me from the system. I gave a small smile. You might want to cancel your 10 a.m. status update, I said calmly. Before she could respond, a voice came from the side conference room. Richard Vance, board member, former U.S. attorney. He stepped out with a firm expression. Ms. Cole, he said coldly, you will need to surrender all company-issued devices immediately. Your directorship is suspended effective now, pending review. Cole froze. Her confident face cracked for the first time. What grounds? She finally managed to ask. Richard didn't even look at her when he answered. He looked at me instead. Clause 317 has been triggered. Mr. Ellison has provided full documentation. I didn't say anything. I just stepped into the elevator. As the doors began to close, I heard Cole raise her voice behind me, shouting something sharp and angry. But it didn't matter anymore. The office she used to mock me in yesterday was already gone from her control. It was mine again. But I still wasn't finished. There was one more person waiting upstairs. And he had helped her. The top floor was quiet. Glass walls, steel frames, no noise, no chaos. Just silence. My silence. I walked through the hallway I had helped design years ago, back when this company still felt like something we were building together instead of tearing apart. Behind the frosted glass of the corner office stood Brandon Caney, my former co-founder. The man who sold loyalty like it was nothing. He looked up from a conversation with the CFO, clearly shocked. Marcus, he said, standing halfway. I dropped my leather folio on his desk. Inside it were printed emails, signed agreements, and a USB drive containing one very clear video. Brandon talking to Cole over drinks, laughing, planning, celebrating. He went pale. This is some kind of joke, he said nervously. No joke, I replied. Check the timestamps. His eyes moved fast as he read. You forged documents while I was in the hospital, I said quietly. That week my mother died, Brandon. He stopped moving completely. His hands started shaking slightly. You signed your own downfall for a temporary promotion, I continued. And now the board has everything. The door opened behind me. Richard Vance stepped in again. Mr. Kane, he said firmly, security will escort you out. Brandon didn't fight it. He just stood there, empty, like the weight of everything had finally hit him at once. As he walked past me, I leaned slightly closer. I would have given you everything, I said quietly. You chose this instead. He didn't answer. The CFO quietly left the room too, avoiding my eyes completely. Now I was alone. Completely alone in the office that used to be ours. I turned slowly and opened the bottom drawer of Brandon's desk, expecting nothing important. But I stopped. Inside was a blue folder, no label, no markings, just thick, expensive paper. The kind used for private contracts. Or something much bigger. And in that moment, I knew something else was still hidden. I pulled it out, opened it carefully, and then I just froze in place. Inside the envelope were signed letters and resignation notices from 6 department heads, all of them already dated for tomorrow. Every single one was addressed to Brandon, thanking him for the transition opportunity and listing discrete exit terms like it was all planned in advance. I went through them faster, my eyes scanning line after line. There was a payout clause, stock transfer instructions, and a detailed timeline attached to everything. He wasn't just leaving. He was preparing a mass exit, a coordinated departure that would have completely damaged operations the very morning after I took the company back. Not just to hurt my pride, but to actually collapse the structure before I could even begin rebuilding it. That realization hit harder than anything else. I leaned back in his chair slowly, my heartbeat loud in my ears. I'd been so focused on the coup, on the betrayal, on the surface-level power shift, that I completely missed what was underneath it all. The deeper corruption. The real plan. This was no longer just ego or office politics. This was war, carefully planned and timed. I pressed the intercom button. Richard, Bring me Ava Tran and Daniel Holloway. No emergency tone, just immediate meeting. Brandon thought he could sink the ship on his way out, like leaving a burning building behind him. But I still had one last card to play. And it wasn't legal paperwork. It wasn't finance strategy, and it wasn't corporate structure. It was something far more dangerous. Something personal. A secret that only Brandon and I had shared 10 years ago in Berlin. A secret he buried so deep that he believed it no longer existed. But I remembered. Every detail. And now it was time to bring it back up in front of the entire board. Because once that truth came out, no one in that room would ever follow him again. Not ever. The boardroom was completely silent. 12 seats were filled, but no one moved. No coughing, no shifting papers, nothing. The air felt heavy as I placed the envelope onto the polished mahogany table in front of everyone. Before we move forward, I said calmly, keeping my voice even, I want to revisit something from 10 years ago in Berlin. A very specific acquisition that was stopped for reasons that were never recorded in the official minutes. Brandon shifted slightly in his chair. It was small, almost unnoticeable, but I caught it. Just a flicker of discomfort in his eyes. That was enough. I've retrieved internal emails from that time, I continued, tapping the envelope lightly. And I've also gathered witness statements. Names are redacted for now, but they confirm exactly what I remember. Now the room started to lean in. People were listening more closely. Brandon, I said, looking directly at him, would you like to explain why you accepted a $3.2 million bribe from the CEO of Ortel Systems to block our merger, and then routed that money through your cousin's shell company? His face changed instantly. His voice cracked slightly. That's a lie. I gave a small, calm smile. You're right, it was a lie. That's what you told the government when they started their quiet investigation in 2017. The same investigation you settled using company shares you were never authorized to use. Ava Tran, who had remained silent until now, slowly turned her head toward him. You dragged this company through years of damage, she said quietly, her tone controlled but sharp. And you thought we would never find out? I stood up slowly. Brandon Whitmore, I said, my voice steady and clear. As of this moment, you are suspended from all positions pending legal review and investigation. He stood up immediately, too, anger flashing across his face, trying to hold on to control. You can't do this! I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I already did. The security guards entered the room just as his confidence started to break. One step forward, then another. The decision had already been made. His chair spun slightly as he was escorted out, the sound of the door closing behind him echoing through the room. Silence returned again, but this time it felt different. It wasn't fear anymore. It was clarity. I looked around the table. We all make compromises, I said slowly. But there are lines that should never be crossed. I opened my briefcase again and pulled out a second folder, thinner than the first. This one wasn't corporate. This company, I said, Ellison & Gray, was founded when I was 28. But what most of you don't know is that I built it on a promise I made to my brother. He was a veteran. He never came home. The room went even quieter. He believed in integrity. He believed in doing the right thing even when it costs you everything. I placed the folder in front of Ava. In 2 weeks, we begin restructuring. New ethics system, independent oversight, and no more golden parachutes for corruption. She looked at me for a moment, then nodded. I'll support that, she said firmly. 2 other board members followed with silent agreement, but one man didn't move. Dylan Roth, vice president of strategy, just sat there staring at the folder. His expression didn't change, not even once. Inside the folder was a still image from CCTV footage, Dylan and Brandon exchanging a manila envelope 3 years ago. I met his eyes directly. You're next, I said calmly. Don't run. That evening, I returned to my apartment. Everything was quiet, almost too quiet. The kind of silence that feels temporary, like it's waiting for something to break it. And I knew it wouldn't stay calm for long. The next morning, I got a message on my personal phone from a blocked number. "You really think this is over, Marcus?" I stared at it for a long moment. The blinking cursor underneath the words felt heavier than it should have. It had Brandon's tone. Dramatic, emotional, designed to unsettle. But the number wasn't his. No identity, just the message. I walked out to the balcony. Down below, the city traffic moved like nothing had changed. People were going about their normal lives, completely unaware of what was unfolding above them. I wasn't afraid. I was ready. I had already set the final step in motion. At exactly 10 a.m., the elevator doors opened on the executive floor of Ellison and Gray. Reporters flooded in instantly, cameras, microphones, flashing lights. Chaos in seconds. Ava stepped forward at the center, now acting interim CEO, calm and composed. "I'd like to make a statement on behalf of our founder, Marcus Ellison," she said clearly. "Today, we are releasing the full internal audit. It confirms 3 years of embezzlement, abuse of authority, and coordinated conspiracy by former executive Brandon Chase and his associates. This company belongs to the people who built it honestly, not those who tried to drain it from within." The room erupted instantly. Questions, shouting, breaking news alerts. Brandon would see it everywhere. Every screen, every channel. So would Dylan. So would everyone who thought I was just quiet, passive, and unaware. They misunderstood silence, because silence is where real strategy grows, and silence is where revenge becomes unavoidable. Later that night, I received one final message from Ava. Just 3 words. "It's done. Clean." I leaned back slowly in my chair, letting the weight of everything settle. For the first time in a long while, the silence didn't feel dangerous. It felt final.